Hey guys, we are back with some more New Jersey Devils franchise mode, and in this one, we have some changes to make to the power play, because as we saw in the last one, we are currently at a 13.5 power play percentage on the season, almost halfway through. That is just not good enough. As we take a look at the entire league, we must be within the bottom 5, I'm gonna guess, as we sort this way. We're 5th worst in the entire NHL for power play. I would say the league average is probably somewhere around 20 or 21%. We're nowhere close to that. So, and we've only been getting worse ever since the start of the season. In the first month, we went 15%, I believe it was, and now we're down to a 13.5, meaning we're probably around 10 or 11% as of recently. That is just not good enough at all. So we have some new power play lines. I also, just in case it has any kind of effect on the simulation, I edited the strategies. Previously, our power play strategy was at Umbrella. Now it's on Overload. I also changed the power play carry and dump slider to, I believe, 3 ticks over. Yep. Because we do have a bunch of skilled players on the power play. It's just, for whatever reason, not working. And now we have different lines as well. I edited them off screen, and they're currently looking like Hall, Hischier, Gusev, Butcher, and Smith on the first wave. Second wave power play will be Bratt, Hughes, Palmieri, Lundell, and Subban. Now, obviously, the personnel is all the same, but they're all completely on different lines. I believe before it was Bratt, Hughes, Gusev, Subban, and Smith. And then Hall was down here with Hischier and Palmieri, and then Lundell with Butcher. So everything's switched up here. And also, at the end of the last episode, we approached a new power play specialist coach. And for that reason, we are going to fire Serge Biron right now and confirm. So hopefully, the guy who we approached accepts our offer, considering we now have no assistant coach. So we're going to go through with these changes here, and we're going to see what they do in the first few days of the month. We have Boston and Chicago, and there you go. Cody Pietrangelo has joined our team. So now we got a really good power play coach. I believe he has an A- for the power play. He also has a B- for offense. All of our other coaches had a C for offense other than our head coach. So hopefully that helps us out on the power play. We won against Boston, lost against Chicago. That's fine, as long as we get these next 2 games here. As long as we can keep a 3-1 or 2-1 win-loss ratio, we should be fine. And we're doing well right now, but we just need to stay consistent, because when we started this video, we were 17-2. So we really can't afford too many more losses. And Dylan Dubé is now out with a concussion until February 8th. So I believe that is about a month away. That is unfortunate. And right. I put Boqvist on the second line with Bratt and Hischier, because as it turns out, even though Bratt is a playmaker, he does take a lot of shots. Last year, he had over 200 shots, and he has 104. And Nico Hischier, he does take quite a few shots as well, 79. Last year, he had 195, and Boqvist does not. So hopefully that will get Boqvist going, playing with 2 guys who shoot the puck a lot. And normally, Dubé would be on the line with Lundell and Palmieri, but now that Dubé is injured, we'll get Coleman up here with Lundell and Palmieri, and it'll be Zaka, Bellows, and I guess Zajac. And Dubnik's been playing well. He's been playing well. He's been getting us some wins, so we'll leave him in there. There's a loss. We'll leave him in there for one more game, see what he can do against Florida. We're 21-19-2, and that's a 3-2 loss. Oh, man. All these losses, see, you can't really blame the goaltenders too much as we go back in the calendar here, because almost every game that we're losing because we're not scoring goals. As we see here, our game against Chicago, a 3-1 loss, only 1 goal for, 3-1 loss to Carolina, 3-2 loss to Florida. So it's really not even entirely on our goaltending here. It's mostly just on our scoring. We're currently in 6th in the Metro, 44 points. We need to hope for something good to happen here, because with each loss that goes by, the less our chances are at even getting into the playoffs. Because to have 20 losses already at this point in the season, we're basically only halfway through. That's kind of unfortunate. We'll get Leonard back in, and hopefully he can do some damage. And I mean, again, it's not our goaltenders that have really been the problem anyway, but we need some sort of momentum shift, and switching goaltenders hopefully will do that for us. So games against the Rangers, Colorado, and Chicago. We won against the Rangers 4-2, and we lose in a shootout to Colorado, and we win 6-3 against Chicago. So the games that we're winning, we're scoring goals. But the games that we're not winning, more often than not, we're not scoring goals. Besides this game against Colorado, which went to a shootout, so we got the extra point. Well, not the extra point. I guess the loser's point is what we'll call it. Game against Pittsburgh. Let's hope we can keep this point streak up, at least get to overtime or a shootout. And we have a trade. To Carolina will be Tomas Hertl, and to San Jose, Prospel, 76 overall prospect, Lidstrom, a 65 overall prospect, and the 2024 second round pick. Pittsburgh, we have a shootout loss. All right, so they did what they did what I asked them. They maintained the point streak. Let's keep going against Minnesota. Preferably get the win though. Come on out. 2 firsts for Howla, a third, and Vlasic. No, thank you. Absolutely not. And a 4-1 loss. So there's a game you could blame maybe our goaltending and our offense because we didn't score. We got scored on quite a bit. Not looking good right now because we are 7 points behind the Rangers, who are in the wild card for the Metro, and then 8 points behind the Bruins, who are in the wild card for the Atlantic, and we are 9 points behind the Flyers and 10 behind the Hurricanes and the Penguins. So this is not good at all. I'm going to get Dubnyk back in, and we need to do something about this depth scoring because it is just, for whatever reason, it is not good. I know we tried fixing it earlier with a trade, but that didn't really seem to help too much. Halsey only with 36 points in 48 games. Hughes, he's a point per game, 48 in 48. Goose, he has 25 goals, and he's almost a point per game as well. That's good for him. Bratt has 41 points in 48 games. That's really good for him. Nico has 32 points in 46 games. Looks like he's playing well defensively. So he's playing fantastic defensively, so I can't really fault him too much, but would love to see some more offense out of him. Boqvist has been suffering from that sophomore slump. 14 points in 46 games. That is a yikes compared to last year with 45 points in his rookie year. Coleman only with 14 points so far in 48 games. He's on pace for about, I would say, 25. I would love to see him somewhere in between the numbers that he got last year and the numbers the year before. So if he was able to get like 38 points this year, that'd be great. But he's not even on pace for 30 right now. He's on pace for about 25. Thing is, he's really physical. He's one of our most physical guys. And his takeaway to giveaway ratio has gotten better as the years has gone on. Lundell, he has 21 points. He's really good defensively. 61 to 36 are his takeaways to giveaways. So at least we can trust him there. He's having a rough go with the plus-minus there. Minus 15. Paul Mary, he has 15 and 15 for 30 points in 48 games. He has 110 shots. Not the greatest defensively, but he does have a lot of hits. 87 hits. Zaka, not really expecting much out of offensively. 8 points. Zajac with 10. And Bellows with 18. How's he doing with the ratios? Defensive ratios. He has 18 to 13 takeaways to giveaways and 12 hits and 829 of ice time. He's not really doing what I thought he would, especially physically, because he had 32 hits with the Islanders in, I believe, 24 games? Yeah, so the same amount of games, half the amount of points that he had with the Islanders. Of course, he's getting less ice time here. He's probably getting third-line ice time with the Islanders. So I can understand the lack of offense, but I at least want him to have a hit per game here. And then with the takeaways to giveaways, that's decent, but not as good as it was with the Islanders. Then for defensemen, you have Smith with 17 points, Subban with 27. So Subban is trailing off quite a bit, it appears, as compared to previous years. He's on pace for about, I would say, 45 points, so that's roughly 13 points less than he had last year, if he were to continue on this pace. So he's definitely starting to see a bit of a regression. Butcher with 14 points, Severson with 10, Vukovic with 7, and Haig with 7 as well. And as we check goaltenders, Dubnyk and Leonard, for the most part, they've been doing their jobs. They just can't really get much support. Now let's check the power play numbers. That is what I'm most interested in here. We now have a 14.1% power play. That is slightly better than when we last checked at a 13.5. The weaknesses of this team are showing big time right now as we go past Arizona and Detroit. If we can't win these, yeah, that's rough. Rough loss against Arizona. We won against Detroit, but we're seeing a lot of inconsistencies with this team, unfortunately. And a trade to Minnesota, we have Sjöström and a second, and then to Arizona, we have Spurgeon and a fifth. So we're 24, 22, and 4 after another month. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. We need to go on a run here in February. So I know the first line is pretty good here, but in order to get the depth scoring going, I'm going to move either Hall or Gusev down to the second line, because we need to also get Nico Hischier going. Jesper Bratt's doing just fine, but Nico's not performing the way he should be, and it's just a huge mess right now. We'll get Palmieri, I think, onto that first line. We'll get Goose with Hischier and Bratt, and then instead of Coleman, we'll put Bellows. Dubé is still injured for about a week, I believe. Coleman on the left. Maybe I'll change up the defensive pairs as well. It's not like it's winning us games. So I'll put Butcher with Subban and then Smith with Severson. And just something has to happen for this team. We need a huge run. Oh, and something else I forgot to mention at the start of this video. I looked into the goaltender stats once again across the league. And as we go to the entire league and sort by goaltenders with at least, I'm going to say 15 games played. Sort by save percentage. Is he still up here? Is he still up here? Ozelinch. He has a .916 save percentage over 16 games played. You may remember this guy from a couple episodes ago, the 58 overall wonder goaltender who had a .950 to start the season. Now he's dropped down to a .916, but still, as a 58 overall goaltender, to maintain that kind of save percentage over 16 games. And meanwhile, there's some goaltenders in this game who are, let's say, an 88 overall, who can't even maintain that kind of a save percentage over like 10 games. As we take a look down here, we go all the way down here. Yeah, that's a better save percentage than Jonathan Quick. Then I'm just looking for goaltenders who have a comparable amount of games. Darcy Kemper, 903 as well. Merzlikins with the Flames, 77 overall, 896 save percentage. Lundqvist, an 895. Korpisalo, 894. I mean, even guys like Bobrovsky, who've played more games, at 892. Mrazek, an 890. Markstrom, an 890 as well. Comrie, 890. Justus Saros with an 882. My goodness. Demko with an 883. It is just... And then Samsonov as well, 83 overall. 857 in 12 games played. I don't get it. Either it's Tampa's defense that's really, really good, or it's Ozelinch, the 58 overall goaltender, that is just absolutely killing it. Of course, he only has 7 wins in 16 games, but he's still saving the puck more often than not. And Vasilevsky has a .927 save percentage, so it's pretty clear either that Tampa's defense is really good, or that Ozelinch is just, for some reason, a lot better than he should be. He's playing like at the very least, a 78 overall right now, not a 58. So as we go 2 weeks here, we're going to see what happens in these 2 weeks. And to Tampa Bay will be Ryan Dzingel and a third, and to Vancouver, Havla and Tyler Johnson. LA, we have a shootout loss. Hate to see it. We need every single point we can get right now. Florida, 5-4 loss. Oh my goodness. Calgary, Dylan Dubé is back. We'll get him in. Bellows back on the fourth line. Zach at center. And yeah, Dubé can be on the third line with Boqvist and Lundell. Or Lundell, I should say. Not Lindell. And Dubé on the penalty kill. Yep, that sounds good. Calgary, we have an 8-6 win. There you go. Nashville, we have a 5-3 loss. Yeah, this season, shootout loss to Tampa. Anaheim 4-2 win. And against the Rangers, this might decide our fate right here. Yep, 2-1 loss. I don't know. I think this is a lost season, unfortunately. I mean, we're still technically in the playoff race. It's just the wild cards both have 65 points. And the way we've been playing, I don't think we're going to catch them. Because the Rangers are 29, 19, and 7. The Flyers are 30, 21, and 5. We are 26, 25, and 6. We'd need to go on a 5-game winning streak just to catch up to them. And we would also have to hope that they lose a few games as well. Oh, man. It's not looking good. It's really not looking good. Let's check out the team stats, see if the power play's improved at all. Goals for per game, we are at a 3. Goals against per game, we are at 2.86. Power play, 13.9. Oh my goodness, the power play is just... I don't get it. The penalty kill's gotten a little bit worse as well. Since when we last checked, it was at 84.5, I believe. Now it's at 82.9. Yeah, it's just not working. Something's just not working with this team. I don't know what it is, but it's not working. Man, Butcher's still with 0 power play points, 54 games in. That is not good. So here, as we approach the trade deadline, we do have to extend a few players. Palmieri, Severson, and Smith are guys who I am interested in extending right now. Palmieri wants 3 years. I'm going to give him 1 year, specifically because of his age. We'll see if we can take him down to 4.1. Severson, he wants 6 years, 5.1. I'll give him 5 years at 4.7. We'll try 4.6 first. And Ty Smith, he wants 4 years. That'll take him to UFA. I'll give him 2 years at 3.7. And if we're going to save this season, I think we have to make a trade here. And the guy who I'm looking to trade, I wouldn't want to trade him in real life, but he hasn't been living up to expectations here in the game. That would be Blake Coleman. He's an 83 overall, only has 15 points on the third line. Now, he obviously doesn't get power play time, so that's 15 points, even strength, but that's not enough for me on the third line. He's got the hits, but he hasn't been great defensively, and that's going back to last year as well, and even year number 2, even when we won the Cup. So, as much as I like him in real life, it's not working out right now for him in the game, so we're going to be trading him, and we're going to just take a look at all the other teams' blocks and see what they have available. So Bowen Byram is an 83 overall now, and he's still on the Avalanche trading block. That may be something we want to look into, especially since Butcher's been kind of bad as of recently. I don't know if I would trade Butcher to Colorado, considering what happened in real life between him and the Avalanche, but maybe Byram is someone we consider going after. Maybe we trade Coleman to the Avalanche. But the only problem is, if we're getting Byram, I mean, that's a lot of trade value. We would probably have to give up our first, which in a year like this, I don't think I'm comfortable giving that up, even for Byram. So for right now, we're going to pass on him. There's Nyquist, there's Bjorkstrand, maybe Bjorkstrand. He's not bad. Pretty good, actually. Not really much of a physical presence this year. 23 points total. And that's in 11:41 of ice time. And he would probably get around the same here. He's probably on the third line for Columbus. He would be on our third line too. I mean, it's possible, but he's not my first choice, I wouldn't say. Philip Dano. I know Lundell was struggling on faceoffs for a while there. I don't know if he still is, but maybe Dano wouldn't be the worst idea. Good on faceoffs. He's a good hitter. Good with the takeaways and giveaways. The concern comes if we're not able to re-sign him. So I'd prefer to get someone on a multi-year deal, at least 2 years. So if we sent Coleman to Columbus, they're 19 and 35. I see why they're giving up Dano. You know what? I don't think it's worth it for Dano. He may not want to re-sign, and our chances, honestly, of saving this season aren't very high. And if he doesn't want to re-sign, then we may have to release him to free agency, and then we get nothing back for Coleman. And then, the chances of getting into the playoffs at this point are pretty slim. So I'm going to say no to Dano. We may just have to trade Coleman for picks, and then just carry on the rest of the season. So good news, Guy Bajin up to an 80 overall now. So he is ready for the NHL next year. So we'll bring him on board for sure. It's just a matter of who's going to replace Coleman temporarily. And yeah, look at Columbus's first round pick, all the way up there in value. So I think I would want a second back for Coleman, at the very least, if we're taking picks. And then, as well, I'd want a forward back who's at least serviceable for the NHL, maybe VZ. So Coleman for a second and VZ. Will it go through? No. So I don't think Columbus has a third. So I think we're going to pass on Columbus. So we'll just get back Fogle and a second from Carolina. Proposed trade, rejected. Sweeten it just a touch. So I'll give him a seventh for next year. We'll see if that goes through. Proposed trade, still rejected. A sixth for next year. Will that work? Nope. How about a fifth for this year? Proposed trade. And they don't want to be put in a situation where Colin Wilson would be put on waivers. Ah, jeez. All right, we'll lessen the price then. We'll go for a third this year and a third next year instead of the second. Proposed trade, nope. Okay. We'll go for 1/3. I don't want to go too low for Coleman, but he is an 83 overall. I want to get as much value as I can out of him. Coleman for Fogle and a third. Accepted. All right, so unfortunately, with that, this seems like a lost season. Hopefully, the guys can prove me wrong. Maybe getting Coleman out of there and getting Fogle in is what we needed. I highly doubt it, though. So it seems like we're just going to simulate the rest of the season here. Because, yeah, it's not looking good. In one last-ditch effort, we'll try Gusev with Hischier and Hall, and then Bratt with Hughes and Palmieri. Then I'll get Bratt with Hischier and Gusev on the power play, and then that leaves Hall with Hughes and Palmieri. But I don't know. I'm not optimistic. I'm really not about this season. I think it was lost when we lost that game to the Rangers 2-1. Severson has re-signed, Palmieri has re-signed, and Smith has re-signed. Don't have to worry about those guys. And versus Arizona, we have a 3-0 win. All right, so our first game without Blake Coleman. Get the shutout victory. See if it happens again here versus Edmonton. Trade alert to Buffalo, Varlamov, Dell, and Rust, and to the Islanders, Montour, and a third. And Edmonton, we have Damon Severson injured with post-concussion syndrome till May 8th. Well, that definitely doesn't help any possible chance we had at the playoffs. Yeah, so we'll get, I guess, Haig up there with Smith, and then with Vukojevic will be Schmaltz. So we had a 5-2 win against Edmonton. Not bad. Keep it going. Anaheim, we have a 5-4 win. Okay, we're winning games now all of a sudden. Detroit, trade alert to Dallas will be Anders Lee and Brandon Montour. So Montour traded for the second time in 1 week, it looks like. And to the Islanders will be Barlow and a first. Detroit will be a 5-2 loss. Make it 2 wins here against Montreal and Washington. We have a win against Montreal. We have a trade to Columbus. We have Harley Thomas or Thomas Harley and a second. And then to Dallas, we have Dano and Nieto. And against Washington, we have a 3-0 win. All right, so we've only lost 1 game so far without Blake Coleman in the lineup. So maybe that was for the better. Who knows? Maybe we just needed to get Coleman out of here. And we're all of a sudden within 4 points of the Islanders and the Rangers. Now, they do have games in hand on us, so I'm not too optimistic yet, but we're within striking range all of a sudden. So as long as we keep performing like this, we very well could pass either the Rangers or the Islanders, or both. Who knows? Maybe we make it into that. Maybe we make it into that third divisional spot. Every game counts here. We need wins, not even overtime or shootout losses. We need wins. There's a win against Boston. Buffalo has fired their head coach, Evan Rivera, so we keep winning all of a sudden. Pittsburgh, 2-1 win. Oh my. Washington, 4-2 win. Okay. All right. I'm slowly starting to gain my optimism back. And of course, Devin Dubnyk out with a concussion until March 14th. I don't think Dubnyk was playing during that stretch. I think it was Leonard. And hopefully he can backstop things. And it was Dubnyk. Oh my goodness. All right. So hopefully that does not put a dent in our streak here, because we're on a roll right now. So hopefully Leonard can keep it going. Bingham to Devils. Yep, best lines. All right. Come on, boys. Keep it going. Carolina, 3-2 win. Philly, 4-3 loss. All right, there's a loss. That's fine. Followed up with a win. There you go. A win against Dallas. Devin Dubnyk is back. Definitely going to get him back in because he was a huge part of that winning streak. Or not a streak, but a hot streak, I guess you could call it. We'll get Dubnyk back in. But I do want Leonard to get some time, so we'll leave him in there for right now. Columbus, a 5-3 win. Let's go, boys. We are finally starting to win some games in the latter half of the season, but we're finally starting to win them. And a 3-1 loss against Carolina. Where do we sit? We are currently tied with the Rangers. They have a game on hand on us, but we're tied in points. So if we just... How many games are left? We have, I believe, 11 games left. Out of these next 11 games, I want 8 wins. Because that would... 8 wins would take us to, I believe, 96 points? Yeah, 96 points. Because it'd be 45, 28, and 6 at that point. So if we could go on an 8-game winning streak, I'd feel pretty good about it. Get me a win versus Buffalo, versus Philly, and then Buffalo again. There's a shootout win. Philly. A 10-1 loss. You absolutely hate to see it. That is probably one of the worst games so far in this GM mode. A 4-3 loss against Buffalo. Please no more than one more loss. Winnipeg, we have a 6-4 loss. All right. So we got off to a great start there, but we're starting to drop some games. A 4-2 win. I'm going to get Dubnyk back in because he was the one who got us on that hot streak. We have 6 games left. I would say we need at least 5 of them, if not all 6. 2 games against the Islanders. We absolutely need both of these games. Critical games here. If we don't win both of these games, then we're out. Come on. Please. That was a loss right there. That one loss might have, and of course, an injury to Taylor Hall. That one loss may have eliminated us for the playoffs. And of course, losing Taylor Hall hurts even more. So we're gonna get Boqvist on the first line. We'll get Bellows up to the third, and then we'll get Zajac back in right here. Tampa, we have an overtime loss. Toronto will be 2-1 loss. Yeah, we're out. We're out. There's no way. Yeah, there's no way. And Jesper Boqvist has been injured with mild concussion. That is fantastic. And for the nail in the coffin, a 6-3 loss against Pittsburgh. It was a good run there in March, but we dropped way too many games, way too often, and we finished the season with 89 points. We are 5 points behind the Islanders, who got the wild card spot for the Metropolitan. So, year 1, we missed. Year 2, we won the Cup. Last year, we were out in the first round, and this year, no playoffs. So, besides the Cup, pretty disappointing so far. And obviously, we got the Cup. That's the greatest prize of all. So, you got to be happy about that. But there's not really too much consistency when it comes to our success as of recent. So, changes are probably coming in the offseason. We're going to have to see what's wrong with this team and go from there. So we'll take a look at the team stats and the player stats, then we'll end this one off. Goals for per game, we were sitting at a 3.01, so we were scoring more than enough goals. I would guess at 5-on-5 since our power play was god-awful most of the year. Goals against per game, we were actually top 2 in the division. It was almost definitely the power play that killed us. And then the penalty kill, it was good. It was really good. 83.7. I think it was just straight up our power play. I mean, obviously, Columbus's was even worse. They were at a 7.8 and only had 57 points for the season, 51 losses in regulation. My goodness, for the Columbus Blue Jackets. But for whatever reason, whatever we did, didn't work. Because we're still not at the point where we're easily getting into the playoffs. Because we haven't made the playoffs in 2 out of 4 years so far. And the year that we won the Cup, we just barely made it in with 89 points. The same amount of points as this year. We just got lucky with the divisional standings. So overall, it's other, of course, than the Cup, the consistency of the success has not been there. We'll go by forwards first. Gusev with 75 points, I believe, led our team. Yes, indeed. Hughes was close with 73. Bratt with 67. Hall with 66. Nico with 60, so he got out of his slump there, it looks like. Palmieri with 52. Lundell with a 33-point rookie season. That's pretty good. Bellows with 26. Boqvist with 24. Definitely underwhelming. He, of course, dealt with a little injury there late in the season. But, yeah, pretty underwhelming. Dubé with 21. Zacha with 17. Zajac with 16. Fogle with 5. Faceoffs, you have Zajac with a 59.7. Hughes with a 53.1. Hischier with a 52.8. Lundell with a 46.9. Hits-wise, Hall, Palmieri, Hughes, and Dubé all above 100. Zacha had 87 over hit per game. So I think part of the problem that we're seeing here is that there's not a whole lot of physicality beyond these top 5 here. And then maybe Bellows as well. So Hall, Palmieri, Hughes, Dubé, and Zacha, they're all good with the physicality. But everybody else, I mean, you can't really get rid of Hischier, Gusev, or Bratt, though, because they make up that lethal top 6 that we have for offense. But for whatever reason, it just didn't click too well this year. Takeaways to giveaways: Nico, Hughes, Lundell, Hall, Bellows, Dubé, all great. Palmieri, Bratt, Gusev could have been much better. Boqvist was good. Zacha could be a little bit better. Zajac was good. Fogle was good. Defenseman Subban with 46 points. So I believe that is a low for his career so far here in New Jersey. Year number 1, he had 66. Year number 2, he had 74. Last year with 58, and this year 46 points. Unfortunate. Smith with 29. I believe that is a career high. Yes, it is. Only by a few, but still a career high. 20 assists. He's been consistent with that, at least. Butcher with 23. Vukojevic with 18. Severson with 16. Haig with 15. And Schmaltz with 5 in 29 games. So another thing we're seeing here is a lack of shots from the back end. Subban and Smith shoot the puck a lot, but Butcher, Vukojevic, Severson, and Haig, not really. Physically, you have 3 defensemen with over 100 hits: Severson, Haig, and Subban. Vukojevic was almost a hit per game. And of course, you don't expect Butcher and Smith to hit. And takeaways to giveaways: we're looking for at least a 2-to-1 ratio for 2 giveaways for every takeaway. So Subban, slightly below where we want him to be. Haig, brutal. But at least he's getting the physicality to make up for it. 16-39 for Vukojevic. So Vukojevic, a really good rookie season for him overall. Smith, 16-59. He's trying to get offense, though. I don't really blame him for the giveaways. 15-56 for Severson. 12-66 for Butcher. And 6-29 for Schmaltz. And in net, you have Dubnyk with a 913 and Leonard with a 904. Yeah, the team was just all over the place this year, let's be honest. From our depth scoring struggles to our lack of power play scoring to our inconsistency, I'll say, in goal. Most of the time they were pretty good, but there were a few games, especially that one game that was 10-1, that, really were not the greatest. And then, of course, we had several games where we couldn't score at all, not even just our depth scoring. It was basically all of our scoring that dried up. So, yeah, there's clearly still work to do here. And I'm not sure exactly what needs to be done at the moment, but maybe you guys can help me figure that out in the comments section below. Let me know what we should do. Again, this team clearly, even though we won the Stanley Cup 2 years ago, it's clearly not perfect. So I'll end it off here, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we start the Year 4 offseason.